Good morning. Good
All
morning.
right. Sounds
Happy
are on.
Monday.
Monday, and this is the last couple of days of September, and then it's October. And so what does that mean? We're going to close out the first month of our last trimester because we started doing all these focused energies and intentions on what's going to happen, right? So we're 1 month into the last trimester of 2025. Question for you. Where are you compared to where you said you wanted to be? We talk about 4 month time period, right? A trimester at 3, 4 month periods. We're 1 month less. We got quarter four coming upon us. And so a little self check-in, put in the chat if you will. Where are you? How many people are ahead of where they said they wanted to be? Good morning. We got two dogs today. Who's ahead of where they said they wanted to be? Who didn't even say where they wanted to be, so it doesn't matter. Come on, put something in the chat. Wake up. It's only 9 o'clock.
You know what? I heard somebody talk the other day, and he said, and it becomes very evident in times like this when there's a lot of change going on, a lot of certainty, uncertainty, whatever you want to focus on. He goes, look, man, I've just broken this down so many times. There's only two types of people out there: those that complain and those that produce.
Ah,
That's it. You're going to be one of two people while this market shifts and while this market changes, because believe me, this market is shifting. This market is changing. I was listening to somebody the other day, and he goes, the bottom of the market, mark my words, was August 1st. August 1st was the bottom of the market. That was the bottom, and it's been going
that
up
works for
since
me. I don't
then.
agree with it, but I'll take it.
I completely agree with it,
So
though.
where do you go from the bottom?
He goes, that's it. He goes, August 1st was the bottom, because that's when at that point, that's when rates started to shift and they started trickling down from 6.86% and kept going down. You started seeing more activity coming around. You started seeing more sales. By the end of August, new home sales had increased 20%. New, not resales, new home sales increased 20%, the largest increase that they've seen in, God, I think it was 20 years. Unreal, the amount of sales that were happening out there. And this next, then you start thinking at that, if that was the bottom, during every time that a market contracts, which it has been up until August 1st, you see it's been contracting. Buyers are pausing, sellers are pulling their homes off the market, agents quitting, getting out of the business, sales dipping, resales dipping. Everything's just kind of, uncertain all over the place. Can't really get a finger on it. We miss a spring and summer selling season air. There's no seasonality to anything. It's just kind of all over the place. Every time you get a market that does that, what eventually always happens?
That's
There's
one
a
of the slides we're
rebound.
going to talk about today. Yeah, it
Yeah,
goes back up.
there's a rebound. It always happens. And guess what happens every time there's a rebound? And it's not too late for you. Every time it rebounds, what starts happening is people kick themselves for not being ready early enough. They kick
Yep.
themselves for not taking action soon enough. They kick themselves for not setting a goal and deciding that this is what I'm going to do for the next 90 days, 120 days, so I can set myself apart from everybody else and be more prepared. Every single time it happens.
Right. So I'm a firm believer that if somebody can do it, it can be done. Right. And we've got some people that have just grabbed the bull by the horns despite any market conditions or trends or bullshit rules that people come up with. And they're having a fantastic period in their business right now. Right. Chris, you got a couple that you've been working with, you were talking about.
Yeah.
You don't have
Yeah,
to
we
leave
got
their
some
names
people.
out, but talking 5, 6, 7 sales a month in a month where the average agent doesn't do that in a year.
We can think of multiple people that just decided, like, so everything just starts with a decision. So they made a decision that they're going to do something different. They're going to create something new because there was a strong enough emotion that was connecting them to what they wanted. They made a decision and they started taking action. And every single one of them, I just talked with one the other day, get a message from him, said everything is moving forward really well. He goes, my life is absolutely changing. Ever since that point, I made a decision and I'm not going to go back. And he goes, and I'm getting all of these things. I finally feel like everything's falling into place and I'm aligning with everything that I've been creating. And you're looking at this and you're like, three closings in 1 month, or three closings in 1 week, two contracts the very next week. I mean, every time you turn around, they're turning something else in. And we can sit here and like I hear a lot of people talk about this because we have one agent in particular. Some of you will know exactly who I'm talking about. And but this woman is saying that every single time you talk to her, she's got two new listings, two new buyers, two new closings. Every single time, you're like, I don't know if there's enough sales going on for what you're saying. He goes, but I love it. I love the fact that she's sitting there talking about it and saying it and speaking it to existence and believing it. Because what does she do right after that? She goes out and makes the calls
Makes calls.
and she goes on the showings and she creates all of that because she believes that she made a decision. She knows exactly what she wants and she generates it and creates it. She doesn't wait for it. And it's unreal when you see the results because eventually what happens? She has two, three new listings in a week, two, three new closings in 1 week, two, three new contracts in 1 week. And then she'll have five in this week, and then she'll have six in this month. And all of a sudden, you're at masters halfway through the year and you're working your way up to a centurion by the end of the year. And that's the goal. And when we do the numbers and look, she's pretty much there. If she does nothing but close the business out that she has by the end of the year, she will be at centurion. And I know she's not going to sit around and do nothing.
Which is the top 2% of all real estate agents make that level of production. That's huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a market, good, bad, or indifferent. I wrote down on my piece of paper here, what happens? And I just left that as an open-ended question. And the answer is life happens, right? So we just need to communicate with everybody and see what's happening in their life. For example, Jack is one of my builders. He was going through one of his homes with his customer, and the customer's former boss showed up. And the boss was like, wow, this is incredible. And then he brought his wife back to look at that house, and they're looking at he lives at a $2 million house on the river. And he says, my house sucks, right? And it's a beautiful home. He's remodeled it and all that type of stuff. And so Jack calls me and says, Craig, he's hot. Call him now. So I called him now. I set an appointment for yesterday morning because that's the goal of every call, right? Set an appointment. I showed him. He's like, 75-foot wide is not really big enough for me. I said, well, buy two. He goes, can I do that? Holy shit. Where did that come from? And we're talking 600, 700, $800,000 lots. I'll just buy two. But that's happening. So what happened in him? Life. He's probably in his 60s. He's living in a house he doesn't really like. He's got money, obviously. And so what? Life just happens. So that's one of my points to you guys is make sure you're just doing it because I'm under the pressure right now. I've got to convert these contracts, these reservations to contracts. And so I'm doing my best to do it. I got about 8 right now. And what I've done is I've gone back to, just like I want you to do this point, this is real life real estate. Go back to the people that you had talked to in the past and find out where they are now. Because what's happened now? Life. So they were a prospect. They inquired on something you had 3 months ago. But are we doing effective lead follow-up right now? There should be no time left vacant in your schedule, right? If you've been around for a while, you've got open house leads, you've got leads that came through Moxie, you've got all this other stuff. Life has changed. We ruled them out for whatever reason, 3, 4, 5, 6, a year ago, months, a year ago. And we don't know where they are in life now. But what are they seeing? They're seeing their friends get new houses. They're seeing incredible deals on new construction. And their little brains going back and forth and back and forth, going, maybe I should restart that search. And they're not thinking of you unless you, Chris, finish my sentence. Call them.
No way. That's like, let's make it really simple for you. What is your first and really your only job as a real estate agent until you have business? Your job, get in the way. Let's make it really simple. Get in the way. People aren't
Yep.
you're never going to make somebody buy a house. You're never going to make somebody sell their house. But your job is to really just get in the way. Life is going to happen. Life happens to every single person every single day. And your job is to get in the way of life happening because at any point in time, they could make that decision that life is happening for them to buy a new house, to sell a house, to make a different decision, to move to a different area, to buy a bigger house, to have another kid, to get another job. And your job is to get in the way.
That's
Not
it.
in that bad way that most people think when you think getting away, just getting away. Your job is to be there when they're ready. The only way that you can be there when they're ready is if you're making phone calls, if you're talking to people, if you're having open houses, if you're networking, if you're talking to neighbors. That is your only job, is get in the way. So that way when their life changes and life happens to them, you are there. And then exactly like Leveda said, ask for the business. Because once you get in the way and you're their trusted real estate advisor, and now you're just somebody touching base with them and you're building rapport with them and you're having those conversations, at some point you have to have a question for them. Hey, who do you know that I might be able to help? I know we've talked a lot about the new home sales going up 20%, the $80,000 reductions in some of the new properties, the 5% interest
Incredible.
rates that we're seeing. Who do you know that I might be able to help? I know you're not ready. I know you're not even doing it because life is
Wait, don't
happening.
write me off, Chris. I might be ready.
Yeah, and that's it. But that's it, exactly. So we just need to get in the way. That is your only job as an agent, is to get in the way. Now, how do you do it? Social media, video, text messages, phone calls, expireds, open houses, networking events, farming, door knocking, whatever that is. Just pick something that you can insert yourself into other people's lives and get in the way, so that way you can ask them for an opportunity. Maybe they're not the one, but you get their sphere of people now, and now you are their person. You are their trusted advisor.
Yeah. And don't forget the ones that you wrote off months ago. I called people last week that gave me a check to reserve a lot and then canceled and said, give me my money back. I've changed my mind. I called 7 of them, and 3 of them are coming back out to look again, where they said, give me my money back. I'm done. That is a dead lead at that point. But I called them and they said, huh, come on. So one of my emphasis for today is to go back to the leads that came to your open house 3 months ago, 4 months ago, because life has happened to them. Maybe they found out they're pregnant. Maybe they found out they're getting divorced. Maybe they found out life happens to them and they're ready. But you don't know. And you're, to Chris's point, you're not first of mind, top of mind for them until you call them. And even if you call them, leave a message and they'll go, oh, I remember her. And then I'm jumping ahead to on my list. But some of these people since August, what do you have with them? A buyer broker agreement. That's a contract that says they owe you the obligation to pay you a commission if they buy a piece of real estate. They sign that for you. And if you guys are playing our game, you're doing it for 90 days to a year. And you have a responsibility to stay in touch with them, right? Because they are committed to you. They probably don't remember it. They probably don't know what they signed, but they did sign a commitment to you. So anything since August last year that you've been working on, if you're doing it right, you have to have a BBA with them. That's gold, guys. Absolute gold. We should be thankful for all those opportunities that have now changed for our way. All right. So that's step one of what I want to talk about is we're into the first month. We have 3 more months left this year. But Chris, what's going to happen in these 3 months? We talked about this yesterday or the day before.
Oh, there's a lot that happens over this next three
Boom.
months. We have so many holidays, and this is why it's so important to be the person that gets in the way, because if you're not the one that's getting in the way of other people, then somebody else is going to, because there's going to be so many opportunities over this next 3 months for other people to get in the way and steal that top of mind face value that they're going to have with those consumers. You have Halloween, you've got Thanksgiving, there's Veterans Day, there's Christmas, there's Hanukkah, there's New Year's, there's event parties, there's corporate parties, there's get together. Like, so many things are going to happen over this next 3 months, where number one, probably 20% of the people are going to take a lot of time off over this next 3 months. You're going to see some people that just decide to take the time off, and that's okay. They're the ones who do 4 deals a year, 5 deals a year, maybe, but you're going to pick up their extra deals. Then you're going to have other people that get so caught up in all of the holidays that they do take a little bit of time off. They don't just plan it. But then you have the people who make a decision that this fourth quarter is going to be the biggest and best time of the year for me, because everybody else is taking that time off. And when they take that time off, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to make it the best part of my year. And you're
Yeah.
going to get in the way. But if you don't get in the way, there's going to be other people that do, because of all of those all of those parties, all of those get-togethers, all of those opportunities. And your friend's brother, sister's cousin has a real estate license, and they're going to be talking to them, giving them a card, and they're going to feel some type of obligation. But if you're already in the way, now they have the ability to say, "Oh,
I've
well,
already got an agent.
I've already got an agent." What do they say every time they walk into an open house? They talk to an agent sometime over the last month, but they walk into an open house and you say, "No, sorry, I'm already working with somebody." Whether they are or they're not, they use that as their tool to kind of push other people away. then that's
Mhm.
okay. But you need to be the person that's having more of those conversations because these are all the opportunities coming up.
And I think you have a responsibility too. The most common, really, the most common thing I hear when I talk to agents about their problems is the agent on the other side is a moron. That's what I hear all the time. Well, they're a broker. Yeah, well, that's what they say all the time. Well, I'm a broker. Who's your broker? I'm the broker. Oh God. These are the stories I hear week after week after week. The person on the other end is a moron. So if you don't reach out and talk to them, then you're going to force them to go work with a moron who goes to the Halloween party or the Thanksgiving dinner or the Christmas fiascos that go on.
Yeah, I want y'all to adopt this mentality. If I let any of you do business with any other real estate agent, I am doing a disservice to you. That's the mentality you should have. If I do not talk to all of you, if I am not available to all of you, and I let you, because I didn't get in the way and interject myself into your life, if I let you do business with any other real estate agent, I am doing you a disservice because I know I'm the best person for the job.
Yeah, and
That's
not to put them down, but they're probably one of the 71% of agents who did not do a deal in 2024. That number still baffles my brain. I mean, as a business person, right? You have expenses and then you've got income. So when you have no income and you have expenses, that's called a loss. So I hope your significant other is a high income earner and they can use a write-off on their tax returns. But other than that, it has no value to put money into a business that's not making any income. Sorry, it's just the way it is. All right, so I want to make sure we're clear on a couple things. Number one, and this is a true thing. I don't want to, blow it out of proportion, but the best time to do anything is when?
yesterday,
Yeah, yesterday's the best time. The next best time is
right now.
now, right? So there's no excuse, but I want to just give you some reasons. And Chris and I are going to go through some slides and we're going to talk about what the national economy is doing, right? And that's important to recognize. But it's an indication of what's going on. And what we're dealing with as real estate people in the market today is consumer confidence, right? So this is what the market is hearing. The consumers, the buyers and sellers are hearing. And you guys look at these slides with me and tell me if you think they're good news, they're optimistic, they're encouraging, or they're bad news. Is the future brighter or is the future darker? We came through the darker side. And I do believe what Chris said earlier, we're at the bottom of the market now because I'm watching buyer trends and the words they're using. I mean, I want to buy now before the competition gets stiffer so I can still get a deal. That's a powerful message to get across today. All right, there you go. So I'm going to share my screen for a few minutes and we'll finish up on these slides. Chris, talk about the floods while I'm doing this. The flood disclosure coming out on the first.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's going to be a new flood disclosure, and it is going to be required after October 1st, and it's going to be in dotloop. If you have a current listing or you're taking a listing, please make sure that you are using the flood disclosure that is going to be inside your listing loop. If you have a current listing, the listing staff is going to do their best to add it to those loops, but it's going to be your responsibility to go get this new flood disclosure that you can search in your dotloop folder, dotloop documents for, add it to the folder, get your sellers to sign it, because any contract moving forward after October 1st is going to require the new flood disclosure.
Right. Now, don't look today. They're not there. They have not been
Nope.
released yet. They'll probably be released today or tomorrow, but they're much better. The stupid flood disclosure we have now doesn't say, have you ever flooded? Now it's going to say, and it's going to require some really good disclosure. So I'm happy for the form to take care of our buyers going forward and to take care of our sellers too, because it's a law now they have to disclose.
Yeah,
So that
so
being said,
if you're writing a contract as a buyer after October 1st, it's going to be a new disclosure that's required. And if you're writing a listing or writing a contract for your listing, there's going to be a new disclosure after October 1st. Like I said, after October 1st, it's going to be there for you.
yeah, we'll have in the loops going forward for you, but going backwards, it's going to be up to you to add it in and get it signed. So it's part of the MLS disclosures. We'll add it to MLS for you. Okay, so we've been talking about the boom is coming, the boom is coming, the boom is coming, right? And then what happened? The Fed did drop rates. And what did we see happen?
We saw spikes.
We saw spikes. We saw the rates actually go up when the rates went down because the federal fund rate does not directly correlate. But this slide says a lot. Today's mortgage rates have already have the anticipated September Fed rate cut priced in. So the rates dropped in anticipation. Remember consumer confidence? The rates dropped in anticipation of the rates dropping. This means that when the Fed officially announces the cut, we should not expect a significant corresponding drop in mortgage rates. Now, what are they talking about next session?
Another rate drop.
Another rate drop. So don't expect the rate drop to be the impetus that makes the rates fall, but it's the anticipation of the rates falling that are going to cause the rates to fall. So is that a good sign or a bad sign?
Yes.
Yes. Ugh.
Look, the reality is it doesn't matter what goes on with the market as long as the rates are hovering at a lower point. Look, we're already seeing rates lower than they were in August. The rates dropped from the 6.86 mark to closer to 6%. They spike up a little bit, come back down, spike up, come back down. We're just going to ride the roller coaster, but we're going to ride it about a 0.5% lower than what they were. And when you look at a 0.5% reduction in an interest rate, it's anywhere from $80 to $180 a month difference, depending on what kind of home that you're buying. So everybody has already gotten a bump in their purchasing power just because of this most recent mortgage rate reduction that happened over the last 60 days. So what we're going to see now is the same thing is going to occur moving forward. We're going to have another Fed rate meeting. They're going to discuss lowering the rate another 25 basis points potentially, if not more. Before that meeting, whatever's going on with consumer confidence, which consumer confidence is going up, it slips, it goes up, it slips, it goes up, it slips. It's just kind of teetering right along the same rate, same place. That's going to cause the rates to drop, mortgage rates to drop before the Fed makes a decision. So we're going to see another drop. When the Fed makes a decision, you probably see another spike. And you got the graphs that show this. They have the graphs that show every time the Fed lowers the Fed rate, the mortgage rates tick up a little bit. And then shortly after that, they start to balance out and they come down a little bit. And then in anticipation of the next meeting, they go down again. So you need to be preparing for this next dip that they have because the Fed is talking about reducing the Fed rate again, which will directly impact the 10-year Treasury, which will directly impact the mortgage rates. So as that happens, we're going to see another dip in rates coming up to the next Fed meeting. You need to be ready for that one. If you missed this last one, be prepared for this next one. And that's all we've been talking about. Know what you want, know why you want it. What are the 3 things that are going to set you apart at the end of this year? Just light your life on fire, be really attached and in alignment with them, and start getting to work and know who you're going to talk to, when you're going to talk to, how many of them you're going to talk to, and how many days a week you're going to do it.
Yep. Hey, Chris, we had a question. Do we need to add the flood disclosure to the current contracts we have that are pending?
No, those current contracts are going to use the previously required flood disclosure because that was the one that was required up to this point. After October 1st, the new disclosure will be required for any effective dates of October 1st or forward.
But if you're concerned and you've got a flood property, get it updated anyway. Doesn't the buyer have the right to know? It's not an obligation. You don't need to.
You can always say, hey, I know we're under contract and I know we have all of the legally required contractual documents between the buyer and seller. But for clarity purposes, I'd love for your buyer to acknowledge this flood disclosure that I'm providing to you because they sent out a new one and we have nothing to hide. And I just want your buyer to be disclosed to make sure we acknowledge. No worries.
Check out this slide. Listing prices have already flattened, right? So what does that mean? We're not looking at declines. It's going to go one of 2 ways from this point, up or down. And what makes that happen? Stuff, right? But this whole talk of people saying prices are dropping, prices are dropping, prices are dropping, this is where they've been. They're flattening out compared to where they were. Everybody was trying to profit take, raising prices, and then they sat on the market for a long period of time. And then what happened? We started lowering prices until we found a strike price where things are selling for. My neighborhood has a lot of homes for sale in comparison, but we've had 3 sell in the last month. We've had nothing for prior months. So what happened? We reached the strike price because we started here and we came down, down, down. So now we're leveling out and the buyers are consuming what we're putting on the market. So that's a good slide. Number 18, home price growth. I love the words that people use here. Home price growth is the slowest since the summer of 2023, which means what? Prices are growing.
They're still growing.
But if you just read it, slowest since the summer of 2023, but it's still growth. So take this, Chris, you got a $500,000 house, let's say, and it goes up 2%. That's $10,000 bucks, right? And that's 10,000 bucks off. Let's say you put 10% down, you get 50,000 bucks. So now you're making 10,000 bucks on 50,000 bucks. That's a 20% gain, right? On the cash that you're running. So that's when you take leverage of real estate and make it real. And I want you guys to have talking points around stuff like this. I know it's math, and a lot of people don't like math, but growth in prices when you leverage the cost is a beautiful thing, right? Now, what do they get if they lived in an apartment?
Nope.
They get a price increase next year of probably 3% or more.
They get a rent increase while every new tenant that moves in gets a discount.
That's even worse. Yeah, for new tenants only. I hate that. Right? All right. So that's saying prices are not going down, but they're not growing as fast as they were, but still growth. That's an important number. Slide number 19. Yeah, we got time. The housing market has cooled modestly in 2025, but the extent and persistence of the rebalancing really varies across the country. That's important. And regionally, home buyers and sellers are likely to experience a very difficult, very, very different market. That's why I said in the beginning, this is a national trend. It's different, right? What's happening, Chris? We had a guest last week in Apollo Beach from Palmetto. What's happening in Palmetto right now?
A lot of growth, a lot of commercial growth as far as retail, a lot of commercial growth regarding multifamily housing, a lot of residential growth as far as communities. So it's a lot of growth. So people are extending themselves and putting a lot of things in the ground.
Yes, and that's confidence, right? If the builder's taken out a line of credit for millions and millions of dollars, and the government is spending millions and millions of dollars putting in roads and water and sewer and fire stations and schools and all that stuff, that's all really good,
Well,
right?
when we start looking at national numbers compared to Florida numbers. I talked about this briefly last week. So the national numbers for pending home sales was down nationally, but in Florida the pending home sales were up 9.5%, almost 10%. So that was for the month of August. When we looked at August, Florida had an increase of nearly 10% in pending home sales that happened, while nationally it was down. So as this market shifts and as the rates have come down and buyers come back into the market, buyers are deciding that they want to buy in specific places. And Florida is an area where the buyers are saying, okay, well, I think I better get active now because there's a lot of competition. And we also have a lot of new home sales growth. So they have more options when they come back out to buy. And with new homes being a huge increase, 20% increase in new home sales, that is what's spurring a lot of our markets on. And every single one of our areas has new home sales within probably about 30 minutes of wherever you're working that you can bring buyers into the new home sales. So you should be recognizing that and using that. If you want to make $100,000 by the end of this year, if you put all of your efforts into new home sales, found a couple new home builders around where you're at within 30 minutes to an hour of where you are, because buyers will decide that they will travel a little bit. People are coming from areas like New York, Philadelphia, California, other areas where they're commuting 45 minutes to an hour and a half every day just to get to
In
work. So
traffic.
if they come here and they only have to commute 30 minutes, that's a win for them. So if you want to make 100 grand by the end of the year, find a couple new home builders, go in there, figure out exactly what they're offering, because a lot of them have $80,000 price cuts, $50,000 incentives, rate buy downs down to 3.99%, 2-1 rate buy downs, 3-1 rate buy downs. You can get buyers into properties and have them get $100,000 more in affordability. They can $100,000 in purchasing power because of the strategies the new homes are being able to offer. And in all of our areas, it's very prominent. Just start picking up the phone and talking to anybody who ever considered selling, because nearly every single seller is a buyer in your area. Like, most buyers are sellers, but every seller is a buyer because they're going to sell their home and they got to go somewhere else. So find all the sellers who've considered selling, show them the new construction, because if they're saying I don't want to sell because I have a low rate, or I'm still kind of on the fence about selling because my rate's low, take them to a builder who's got all these awesome, amazing products that are going to keep their payment down. Any buyer who is considering, take them to a builder who's giving them their closing costs covered, their rate buy downs, their other incentives, their incentives for the design center, their $50,000 price drops along with all of that. You could
Yep.
literally make $100,000 by the end of this year because you're showing buyers you have 50 to $100,000 more in purchasing power. And now because you only could afford a 350 home and you didn't like any of them, find a builder that you can buy a 450 home with one of these incentives on, and you just created somebody to be able to have an opportunity they didn't have before.
So that particular builder, it was Richmond American Homes, I think it was. Um, they're marketing their least expensive home is 329, but there's $50,000 in incentives. So it's really a 289. You guys tell me where you can find a brand new home for $289,000 and have a fixed interest rate at 3.95% for the first year. Doesn't exist in the resale market, but you got to move to Palmetto, which is a little further, but Palmetto's getting all the new stuff. All right, 2 more slides. Median sales price of homes sold in the last 50 years. I just put this in there real quick. So if I bought a home here at this first red arrow in 1981, for, believe this or not, home sold for $67,000 in 1981. You could buy a home, but that home now got up to $450,000. So you could take this graph, and what it shows is real estate over the long haul appreciates substantially. Now, if you bought here and you want to sell here, yeah, you got burnt. But if you held on, you're going to take this ride up. So that's the advantage of home ownership. So if we're not talking about things like this, then it really makes renting seem like an option, because you don't got to fix the broken receptacle. You don't have to paint the house. You don't have to do all that stuff. But shit, if I started out with a $67,000 house and now it's worth $400,000, that's called wealth. And that's what people that buy real estate get. Number 26, boom. Price expectations. We talked about consumer confidence drives markets, right? And of course, it's different. So the actual, look at the ride we've been on. Prices, real estate's been a really, really good thing over time. But now, okay, well, we reached the top. The pundits are saying, oh, it's negative, it's negative, it's negative. Now it's holy shit. Worst case, these forecasters are saying we're going to go up 6.7% in the next couple of years. That's damn good. 17% is even better. 27% is even more. So if you're going to wait to buy now and you're going to pay later more, it doesn't make any sense. So these are real things that we could use, right? But once again, if you bought here and you sell here, it's not long enough. So counsel your customers appropriately. And number 27, the recovery is expected to begin going into next year. 2024, this drives me insane. 4 million home sales. 2025, 4 million home sales. 2026, the forecast is up. Right? That's almost, what is that? 10% would be 400,000. So over 10% increase in sales volume, not to count sales prices.
And I really feel that number is low.
I do
I
think it's
think that
low.
we have a possibility of hitting about 4.8 million home sales, 4.85 million home sales pretty quickly with what's transpiring right now, at least in our area. And when the rates catch on to everybody, look, it takes people usually about 60 to 90 days for them to take some information and start to take action. Every now and then you get the people that start coming out of the woodworks right away, making the purchases, which we have them happening right now. And it's been about 60 days since that rate started to go down August 1st. And now at the end of this month in October, you got 30 more days to really get out in front of those people who take that longer process of consuming information. Rates are down, seeing all the headlines, making sure, okay, I think maybe we can start doing this and start looking. You maybe got about 30 days to get in front of them, but you're already missing an opportunity for the ones who are seeing this as an opportunity. We need to have more conversations. You need to get in the way of more people. You need to talk to more sellers. You need to talk to more buyers. And you don't need to share any of this information. You literally just need to talk to people and just say, hey, how's it going? How's everything been? I noticed that you were looking for a home last year and I just didn't know if you knew what was going on in the market. You want to think about revisiting it? Let's schedule a Zoom call to talk about it. Or, hey, I noticed you tried to sell your home this past summer, last year, and I was just curious what's going on with it right now. I noticed it's not on the market. Are you considering to put it back on the market? Or I noticed you got a new job, or I noticed that you guys had a new kid. Whatever the case is, you need to get in the way, start having more conversations, and put yourself in a better opportunity to ask that question of who do you know that I might be able to help and navigate through this real estate market.
Yeah. The purpose of these slides is to give you the confidence to make the calls, because I understand that some of you don't feel confident to make calls, and that's okay. So we're going to give you the words to use and the motivation to make the calls, right? But it all starts with making the calls. I'm doing it. You can do it. We all need to do it and spread the good word. And there's the news you can use to spread the good word. It is 9:34. We're 4 minutes over. This is Real Life Real Estate on Monday. We're going to have a broker briefing tomorrow for a short half hour and then break off an individual local market meetings because local markets where the difference is made.
The boom is here, guys. Do not wait. Start having the conversations. The boom is already here. The people who are talking, the people who are generating and creating are creating deals, they're creating listings, they're creating buyers. So if you're not doing it now, make a decision. Make a new decision today. It only takes one. One decision can change the trajectory of the next 3, 5, 10 years of your business. And it can start right now because this market is not going to stop. It's going to continue going. Start getting in front of more people.
And life drives housing changes even during the holiday season. Make no mistake, we sell houses, period, end of story. So there you go. That's all I got for today. Managers, I'll see you guys at 11. Other than that, happy Monday. Have a great week.
Happy Monday.
Thanks all.